So, last week's video about arpeggios reminded me about some research that I did a while ago to try and improve how I played arpeggios, certainly improved my left-handed technique over arpeggios. You see, what I found when I was working on these, and especially when I was playing at speed, was that every arpeggio seemed to be very different from every other arpeggio. The way you fingered it, the way it felt to the left hand, felt very different. So for example, you know, the top three notes of an A minor chord, even just looking at three notes, the top three notes of an A minor chord were very different to finger than a C major chord, which was very different to a D minor chord, which is very different to the inner notes of a C major chord or an E minor chord. They're all very different to each other, so they all need their own sort of specific practice in order to get fast and proficient with these. So what I wanted to know was, is there a basic set of shapes, sort of a rudimentary set of shapes or a class of shapes that I can practice that will give me access to all of these different patterns? And what I did was I found 12 shapes basically. There were 6 that involved 3 fingers and 6 that involved a finger roll in some way. And if I worked on those 12 patterns, then I had some basic skills that I could apply to all of the arpeggio shapes wherever they are on the neck. Now these shapes, if you like, are sort of mechanics. These are sort of the rudimentary finger movements that you need in order to play arpeggios. And that's how I approached them. So in themselves they may sound weird, but you're not practicing that shape in order to play the shape. You're practicing that shape in order to get the finger movement under your hand. And that finger movement is the thing that you'll apply to, you know, multiple arpeggios, multiple fingerings. And that's the power of them. So let's zoom in and we'll see how we get on with them. So let's have a look at the first shape then. The first shape looks like this. So it's what I call a 3-2-1 shape, where I'm playing third finger, second finger, first finger. And all I do is I'll drop in a shape like this and just try and get used to moving around it. And hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do here is control the individual notes. So I'm not just letting the notes ring like that. I'm lifting my fingers and making sure I'm in control. And like I say, this is a class of shape, if you like. This is a mechanic. And it encompasses a whole load of different kinds of arpeggios. So in here it's kind of the top half of an A minor chord, bar chord. But if I move it across a set of strings, I get a bar, the inner strings of a bar E chord, move it across again, I get an augmented chord, or if I stretch out, I get sort of a major chord, or kind of part of a bar G chord. But that's what I mean by a mechanic. It's a shape that encompasses a whole class of arpeggio fingerings, and that's the point, that's what we're going after. So that's the first shape. The second shape then is this, it's 2-3-1. Sort of like a D minor shape, if you like. And again, I just try and see if I can control the notes, see how well I can manage this. And like I say, again, it's a class of shapes, so it'll cover a whole range of different arpeggios and fingerings. So that's the second shape. The third shape looks like this, 1-3-2. Funny sounding shape, this one. But again, what we're doing here is we're trying to build the motor skills around the mechanic, if you like, for this shape. And imagine if I just sharpen my index finger by 1, I get a D chord shape. But it's the same mechanic. Or if I take it across a set of strings, I've got a sort of a D7 sound. Or even I could do some string skipping. Same shape. But again, it's the mechanic that we're working on. It's the class of shapes that this describes that we're really trying to take control of. Okay, so the fourth shape is this one. It's 3, 1, 2. Again, another weird sounding one. But again, if you take it across a set of strings, you get same shape, and it's part of that bar C chord. Okay, so the next one is this. It's 2, 1, 3. It's quite a nice sound. It's got a sort of a ninth sound to it. And then finally in this group of 6 we've got 1, 2, 3. Again, another weird one. But again, you know, if you're into your sort of Steve Morse wide arpeggios, you'll encounter this. So that's my first 6 shapes. The second 6 all involve a finger roll in some shape or form. And what I've found when I'm doing finger rolls is if I focus on my third finger and my first finger, then I get enough of either a crossover of movement between what I do with my third finger to my second and fourth, or I can stretch my third finger around. I can move my third finger with respect to my first finger and achieve other stretches as well. So this, for me, tends to give me the best crossover to other shapes. So the first shape in this group of 6 is this one. It's 3, 3, 1. And again, I'm just trying to control the strings, manage the finger roll, so only the note that I'm playing is sounding out, and you can see this is just the top 3 strings of a bar A chord. So that's the first one. Second one in this group of 6 is this. 1, 1, 3. Again, it's got the minor ninth sound to it, so it's quite nice. The third shape in this is actually this. It's my third finger rolling across all 3 strings, so it's 3, 3, 3. And I find this quite useful for shapes like, you know, the A bar chord, where my third finger needs to roll across a number of strings, but my first finger needs to be available to pick up the note as well. And also it's quite useful to be able to alternate between a third finger roll and a first finger roll. Can you see that? So my fourth shape is this. It's 3, 1, 1. Kind of a sus4 sound. It's my fourth shape. The fifth shape is this. 1, 3, 3. Again, another weird one. But obviously if you take it across the strings, you can kind of understand where you'd use that. So that's my fifth shape. And then finally my sixth one is my index finger roll. So it's the top 3 strings of a bar E minor chord. And what I'd do is I'd play these shapes across every group of 3 strings just to get the feel of them under my fingers as well. But those 12 shapes, if you like, represent all of the basic finger patterns, the basic mechanics that you're going to encounter when you're playing arpeggios, any arpeggio anywhere on the note. So it's worth getting them under your fingers. So that's it. As I say, some of these are sounding weird, but that's kind of not the point. We're working on the mechanics, we're working on the finger movement, not on the sound of the shape itself. It's the mechanic that you're trying to get under your fingers, and that's the thing that you then apply to your playing in multiple applications. So see how you get on with them, and we'll talk next time. Goodbye.